Do you want to know how effed up the U.S. Congress is? I know you already know that. But you know this battle that has been going on for several months now between Congress, the 9/11 families, and President Obama. Obama's point was very simple. If you pass this legislation and I were to sign it into law, giving the families of the 9/11 victims the right to sue a sovereign government, he said the unintended consequences of that would be it opens up U.S. military personnel, U.S. members of Congress, U.S. citizens. It opens us up to lawsuits also. And Obama tried to make his case. He said, really, we don't want this. He said there are some times when you have a choice of what to do, and you have to do the thing that is not very comfortable or very popular. So Congress passed it, and as promised, Obama vetoed it, and as promised, the Congress overrode his veto the first time in 8 years. And they all went home, all the Republicans went home and had massive orgasms. Well, we overrode his veto. Okay, now, that's the story up to this point. But then there's this. Just one day after leading the first override of a veto during Obama's time in office, Republican leaders in Congress are now calling for significant changes to the legislation they wrote and they passed, which allows the families of those killed in 9/11 to sue Saudi Arabia. They blamed Barack Obama for failing to adequately warn them against supporting the measure. Can you believe this? They wrote it. They passed it. Obama kept saying, no, don't do it. I'll veto it. He vetoed it. They overrode the veto, and now they're blaming him for allowing them to pass it. I mean, you talk about living in a goddamn asylum. It's called the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act. Oh, Christ. And it would enable U.S. victims of terrorism to file suits against foreign governments. And Obama vetoed it for the reasons I stated. He said during a CNN town hall this week, quote, "It's a dangerous precedent, and it's an example of why sometimes you have to do what's hard." And he said, quote, "If you're perceived as voting against 9/11 families right before an election, not surprisingly, that's a hard vote for people to take. But it would have been the right thing to do." And then the New York Times had a long history of the provenance of that bill. And the Times also noted this. The override underscored the inherent smallness of Republican victories against Obama since seizing the majority in Congress in 2015. The veto override, while thrilling to many Republicans, came on a bill that was far from the Republicans' self-identified priorities of unraveling the health care law, pushing back on government regulations, nor was it a measure they had hoped to secure with the president's help, like overhauling the tax code or passing a major trade agreement. End quote. Now, the White House called this bipartisan vote to override his veto. The override vote was 348 to 77 in the House and 97 to 1 in the Senate. And White House spokesman, what's his name, whatever, called this vote, quote, "the single most embarrassing thing that the United States has done possibly since 1983. I'm not sure I get that. But anyway. So less than 24 hours after Congress's extraordinary step of overriding the veto, the two top Republicans in Congress, McConnell in the Senate and Ryan in the House, are now wringing their hands and blaming Obama for what they did twice. Mitch McConnell said this, I'm quoting, "I wish the president, I had to blame everything on him, and I don't, but it would have been helpful had he or we had a discussion about this much earlier than last week." You stupid son of a bitch, you turtle. This has been going on for 16 years. And he wanted a discussion much earlier than last week. See, this is why I have come to the conclusion, while I still agree there are a number of things that I do not agree with Obama on any level. I do agree with him on a lot of stuff, and I do realize that the reason his presidency has been so screwed up is because of these white, old, sickening bastards like Mitch McConnell in the legislative branch. Our biggest priority is to make sure that Barack Obama is a one-term president. Remember that? McConnell had the balls to tell reporters in Washington, quote, "Everybody was aware of who the potential beneficiaries were, but nobody had really focused on the potential downside in terms of our international relationship." And I think it was just a ball dropped. Nobody had really focused on the downside. You ignorant, slobbish son of a bitch. Obama kept saying it over and over and over and over again. He went into minute detail. He said, "I will veto it for these reasons if you do pass it." He repeatedly went through this. And now this turtle-looking son of a bitch has the nerve. Everybody was aware of who the potential beneficiaries were, but nobody had really focused on the potential downside. The reason for that, McConnell, you racist pig son of a bitch, is because you're white and your president is black. Why listen to him? You haven't listened for 8 years. Why start now? Jesus Christ. And the Wall Street Journal also, the editorial page, which is run by neo-fascists, they found a way to blame Obama for the override. The editorial board wrote Wednesday, quote, "Wouldn't you know that Congress finally challenges Obama on foreign policy, and it's a bad cause that will harm U.S. interests. Too bad the president did so little to stop it." What the fuck? What is a president supposed to do? He vetoed it. What else can he do? Go kill McConnell? Walk into the chamber with a fucking AR-15 and open fire? What's he supposed to do? But the Wall Street Journal editorial page is a sewer of neo-fascists. Too bad the president did so little to stop it. Oh my God. Somebody please tell me, what can a president of the United States do to stop this kind of shit other than to warn repeatedly, especially during the 8 years that he's been president? Don't present this to me. There are too many unintended consequences that will happen. And then when they present it to him anyway, he vetoes it. Will somebody tell me, what else can a president do except use his veto power? And then these clown sons of bitches override the veto, and then they say, "Oh, you made us do it." Oh, God. White House spokesman Josh Earnest told reporters yesterday, in an attempt to push back against this Republican bullshit to deflect blame, Josh Earnest said, quote, "What's true in elementary school is true in the United States Congress. Ignorance is not an excuse." I would have said it differently, Josh. House Republicans have also indicated support for amending the law now. But see, all of this upset on the part of the Republicans, especially McConnell and Ryan, is a smokescreen. They knew goddamn good and well what they were doing. Because just like Obama said, and like McConnell said, and like they all know, they have to go home for re-election. A third of the Senate and all of the House. They had to go home and try to get reelected. How are they going to go home with this shit? Go home and say, well, we didn't vote to compensate the 9/11 families. You what? Well, too many unattended. We just used our better judgment and our brains and did. You what? Well, fuck you. I'm voting for a teabagger. So they did this deliberately. Every one of these unconscionable sons of bitches did this deliberately. Voted to override the veto so they could go home, which they're soon leaving, to go home for one last push of bullshit to try to get reelected. And they can tell their brain-dead constituents, well, we tried. We really tried. And Obama vetoed it. So we stood up like real Americans and overrode his veto. Yeah! And as soon as they come back, they're going to amend the law or try to rewrite it. And in the meantime, they're blaming Obama for what they did.